I'm so excited to have you watch this edition of Sexual Education Time. I am Ambassador Ihuma Chinetirim, a child rights advocate and personal development coach. Today, we're going to be looking at some questions and answers. It's a burning question that some parents and caregivers have been asking about sexuality education. Common sexual education questions usually asked by parents and caregivers. Number one, why do children need sexual education in schools? This is the top of all the questions. Now, children need sexual education in schools because it equips the child with knowledge, skills, develop and strengthen their ability to make great, conscious, and satisfying choices regarding sexuality, relationships, emotional, and physical health. So it's very important that we introduce sexual education in schools. It will create awareness in the mind of the child. And when a child is well informed, the child will know what to do per time. Okay, so it's very important we introduce it in our schools. If you're a proprietor, a proprietress, and you've not yet started introducing or talking to children about this, then you need to start talking about it. And then number two question is, can children give consent in sexual abuse? Now let's listen to this. Under the Sexual Offences Act 2003, it says children under the age of 13 are considered too young to give consent. They are not of age to understand what it means. A child below the age of 13 is immature. They don't even understand what sexual abuse or sexuality is or sex is. So why should a man want to abuse a girl or a child under the age of 13? To me, I think such person is not normal. Not at all. Trying to abuse a child under the age of 13. A child that is not mature. What do you want? So it's not right. That child can't give consent, no matter what, because the child doesn't understand what it is all about. The child doesn't know about anything. The child is not mature. And the child is not meant to be abused. So let's go to the next question. Number three question is, a parent said, why should I educate my 3-year-old child about sex education? Wow. Okay, before I go for that, I want to share a story about a 3-year-old child. Now, this 3-year-old child was educated, or let me say she was sex educated at that age, because there are age appropriate sex education for every child. And so at that particular age, you educate her about her body parts, private parts and public parts and all of that. And then she was educated about her private part, that she should not allow anyone to touch her private parts. So one fateful day, she was in the sitting room alone, and then the neighbor's child came in. The boy was I think 5-year-old, while she was 3-year-old. And then he came, tried to touch her private part, and she screamed, and then her parents came out and they were like, what's the problem? And then she ran to them shivering, telling them he was trying to touch her private part and all that, because she was aware. And then she protected herself. What if she wasn't taught? What would have happened to her? So it's important we get them informed. So the earlier you educate your child, the better. Information is key. It's key. It is never too late to talk with your child about sex. At that age, you start talking to the child about his or her body parts, the public and private parts, it will help the child to cover or protect his or herself. All the time the child, those days you see children pat 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 with their, bum expose their bum and all of that in the public. That's why most children are abused, because they are not aware. They don't know what it's all about. So, but when you educate the child, you see them always want to cover themselves because they are aware. So don't say the child is too young or is too tender to learn about this. Is it when the child gets abused? I think we're going to draw up the curtain right here. If you have any question you'd like to ask, drop them in the comment box. Thank you, and see you in our next education time. Cheers.